These are just facts. But, and as much as it hurts me to say this, Ariel, I don't even want to say it.
Okay.
We have an embarrassment of riches right now in the AEW locker room. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name every single name because it's exhausting how many incredible professional wrestlers we have. We have, bar none, the best wrestling on television. It's not even close. Sorry. Now, WWE has incredible wrestlers. They're putting on great matches. TNA has great wrestlers. They're putting on great matches. NXT has great wrestlers. They're putting on great matches. But I can look in this camera and say point blank, I feel we put on the best matches. I feel that it's not just a tagline, we're the best wrestle. It's a fact. And, you know, it's gotten to the point now because of the black eyes that were created in the past, right? Which you've discussed ad nauseum on your shows. It was AEW bad for a while just because after the black eyes. Now, there was a reason to say AEW bad because some bullshit was going on. 2026, there's nothing to say, man. We're putting on great show after great show. We're up in houses year over year in most territories in the U.S. Pay-per-view buy rates are up, and I'm about to be in the main event of the second biggest grossing domestic pay-per-view in the history of our company. Now,
all right, so that was MJF on Ariel Helwani, and he talked about how the last part I'll hit on the most about AEW had this dark period, but it's changed now. All that stuff's over. So I was on that train, and I didn't really go back except for the people that I did enjoy watching, which I did keep up with. So what are your thoughts on MJF's comments, and do you think he's right? Should I get welcome AEW back with I'll open the door for him. How about that?
I 1,000% think you should open the door.
Okay.
It's not a question about if he's right. He's right. Anyone, and I say this even to myself, you're in denial if you think he's not right. So again, one of like the other things were like fans, specifically also like people that don't like AEW, that just love WWE, will also crap on WWE. They'll say, oh man, it's been 10 years since a WWE champion has been under 30. It's been X amount of years since such and such has won a championship. It's been such and such years, and they'll just like pick it apart. This show was riddled with, we mentioned the fun tagline of these upstarts with, Cope and Cage, a good nostalgia act to start the night, winning their first tag titles together in 25 years. But besides that, there was so much youth riddled through the show. Whether you get a bunch of, you get people like the Hurt Syndicate and Jericho, who, they've had long, illustrious careers that could hang it up at any time. They're first ballot Hall of Famers. But you got guys like the Dogs, Ricochet, and many, many others sprinkled through that match. A bunch of young upstarts. You get two guys 30 and under for the world title in the main event, and we get a insane main event, insane one. And then rather than one of my favorite parts where I'll admit, like, we got all these releases. Like, yes, me more than anyone, I would have loved to see the New Day there. It didn't happen at any point throughout the show, but typically AEW, end of the night, boop, 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 thinking, you're going to get the next rivalry. Who's returning from an injury? Who's coming from WWE from these releases? Who's going to go challenge MJF? Instead, we get Kevin Knight, who's a babyface, current TNT champion, and if you just hate AEW, the equivalent of an Intercontinental champion coming out there to try to help the babyface. Quick heel turn moment, attacks the loser of the match, the babyface, the former world champion. Oh, that's great. That's exciting. That's also going to help just push ahead one of these young stars. So like MJF said to Ariel Helwani, they're constantly moving forward. The black eye from stuff years ago, that's over. And if you want to be stagnant and just keep focusing on that, cool. That's just be bitter and try not to watch good wrestling, because what I watched Sunday night was way better than anything I watched from TKO in the past year plus.
So I will say this, my current match of the year is an AEW match, which is MJF and Hangman from Revolution. So for me, AEW, like MJF said, and he was transparent, and I love transparency. He knows that it was bad. Even when he came back after the Adam Cole thing, I believe he said he knew he was the shits. And I appreciate the transparency in that case. So for AEW, for me, and the way I even consume my wrestling is a little bit different than what I used to do. Like, I don't sit down and watch the show in a sitting. I have to pretty much spread it out, or it is okay. Who do I like? AEW, I like Tony Storm, Mariah May when she was there, Mercedes, and I would keep an eye on the MJF because MJF, no doubt, is the biggest star that they have. I can really care less about what the Bucks or whatever have going on, but I do think he's right. The thing is, a lot of times, a lot of things they'll forever have a stink on it, and you'll never kind of wipe that stink off of it. And AEW, for some people, that might actually be the case. But AEW, I'll have to finish it. But from what I've heard, they put on a great show. It got a great reaction from social media. I haven't heard one bad thing about the show at all, other than the length, which is always the case. And also, people seem to be excited about Mick Foley coming in. And MJF and Darby Allin, they put on a fantastic main event. Stadium Stampede, that's usually pretty much brain rot, and you just kind of like let your mind be a disbelief. And then you get the moments like from Cage and Cope that make all wrestling fans happy. So AEW, they will get it. Well, I never really wrote them off or whatever, but I will give them more of my time.
One thing I want to add on, and I may misquote you here, but like when if you mention you mention a team like the Young Bucks, and you're like, well, I don't really care what they're doing, and like I get that in a lot of ways. But I'm going to say this off of obviously my point of view, but the Young Bucks are 2 of the 4 founding fathers of AEW, and I'm sure, similar to a lot of wrestlers, they prefer playing heels. Whether they prefer it or not, they're much better baby faces in the way where like they've been heel for like a year and a half, 2 years, and slowly recently they've been baby faces. And to me, it's when they're more interesting. It's more easier to watch TV. Like they're kind of, I hate the term X-Pac heat, but it's really like when they were heels, it's like, all right, cool, I can go change the channel. Unless they're in like a full faction. If it's just them by themselves. But I do feel like they've even been like something more interesting lately where it's like, all right, cool. I know the match is going to be entertaining. I like the storylines they're in. And it's easy for me as like a day one big AEW supporter. When something's interesting for guys like the Bucks or like Kenny, cool. That I want them involved in something interesting because those are the people that started this shit.
Yeah, so the Bucks are more interesting as baby faces. The things they do, you can't not see it. Like you have to be aware because they still are a focal point of the show. I'm not sure if you remember. I said this before. For them, since they are primarily a tag team, there's but so much they can do since they're primarily a tag team. So the interest kind of weighs for me personally. And like some of our greatest tag teams of all time, for example, like Edge and Christian, for example, Cope and Cage that we talked about, they only teamed on TV for 4 years?
Cup of coffee.
3-4 years? Yeah. The Hardys, they had those singles runs, Team 3D, Dudleys, they had those single runs. The Bucks never really had those singles runs. So when it comes to them from a tag team perspective, it's just like, okay, like you have to find a lot of things for them to do as a team. And
for sure.
that can easily get pretty stale.
Well, that is 100% of like your just tried and true like WWE guy, where it's one of those things where like, yes, the Bucks are supposed to be doing tag team wrestling. They're supposed to be, tag team. They're not supposed to split up. They're one of those teams where it's just they're better off just being together and leaving together. I think in the early years we saw a couple times like during tournaments or whatever, or I think Matt had a couple like back injuries. We saw Nick in some singles matches, but